10X Africa.
Very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to be sure it was afternoon. How are we doing today? Okay, my note has been full. It's been electrifying, but they've made my work a lot easy. I was saying to them at the back that I'll just stay within the first few slides of my presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel, for this opportunity. Again, like everyone has done, I'll say let's give him a round of applause. It takes a lot to put things like this together. It looks so simple. It looks like so straightforward. What's the big deal? But it does take a lot. And then knowing that it's not what you must do, it comes from a heart of giving. Oh, you jumped already? Okay. Okay, so jumping into it very quickly, the request of the organizers is to use our life story. We want it to be as real and as practical as possible. I want to believe that a lot of us have heard trainings, we've heard all sorts. Someone said aspire to perspire. I think we've heard a lot of that. So we want to see how, and like I always say, when you meet people and you are not able to trace how they got to where they are, be worried. You know, if there's a missing link, just be very worried. We must be able to see how they migrated from, I grew up in Festac, and I was telling some of my colleagues in the office a few days ago that does any of you know where Okoko is? They had no idea. Is there anybody in the room that knows where Okoko Michael? Okay, So I said if you go to Okoko Garage today, I still mention my mom's name and our names, they still know us. Because we sit in Okoko Garage to sell stuff. So all the drivers there, so long as they were still those ones that were there, maybe some of the conductors would have migrated to being drivers now. And my colleagues were looking at me like, you okay? I said, yes, I hopped. I'll put you on my head, carry, and go and come back. So I didn't wake up one day and appear in a Range Rover. No. There was a process. You see what I mean? We're all journeying. Am I where I want to be? The answer is no. So don't worry about whatever you've seen today. We're still on a journey, and we're still going very far. Are you where you want to be? The answer is no. You're still on a journey. And like someone said earlier, if you don't learn the lessons now, it's waiting for you. Yeah, I think it was Mr. Wisdom. It's waiting for you in front. So you'd better just go through the process. Don't jump it. Don't be in a hurry. You know, so I use this slide to, okay, so we can move now. To just say, this is what my life looks like in a nutshell, in summary. You're moving too fast for me. And I use this slide to say that your background has absolutely nothing to do with how far you can go in life. You heard me talk, I was born in Festac, and then our house got burnt, and we moved to Okoko Michael, and I lived in Okoko. I grew up in Okoko, literally. You know, so my mother sold things inside the garage in Okoko bus stop, where you take bus that's going to Ajangbadi, Shibiri, Logbo. Are you people getting me? So it's not like we just woke up and appeared inside Lekki Phase 1. No, there was a process. But your background has absolutely nothing to do with how far you can go. I always say to my colleagues, so long as your mind can, the problem is with the mind. The issue is that a lot of our minds cannot even see. When I say see, I'm not talking of literal seeing. Your mind cannot comprehend what you think you. If your mind says you cannot make it, I'm not cursing. But if your mind says to you that you cannot make it, believe me, you cannot. But as long as your mind believes that this can happen, then you can. The remaining is the process of getting there. The next slide to this, please. So, but you must learn to pay the price for where you want to be. I worked in the bank, Zenith Bank and UBA for a total of 15 years. But all of the time that I was working in the banking industry, it was clear to me that I didn't want to build a career. Yeah, this slide. I didn't want to build a career in banking. I knew. But I had to remain in banking because of a number of reasons. Number one, and most critically, I needed the money. Yes, so let's not deceive ourselves. I needed the money. There were bills to be paid. That's number one. I needed to serve to be able to understand certain things. I'm not one of those people. First, I know that we all won't be entrepreneurs. So I'm not one of those people who say, oh, we'll all end up being entrepreneurs. No. But I also understand that for anyone who's going to be an entrepreneur, I'm not one of those people who would suggest, I know this is agreeable, that, just jump from school and start your own business. I'm not one of those people who recommend such. There's a lot to learn. The mistakes you see your bosses make, the mistake you see other business owners make. You don't have, yes, experience is the best teacher, but there's no rule that says it must be your own experience. You can learn from other people's experiences. You see other people make mistakes. Why do you want to make the same mistake? You can learn from that mistake. So that was what working in those banks and the other company did with me. And then at some point, I had this account. I don't know how many people know Alabu Powder. You may not know, maybe the older folks here. And the Metro Band Home. So I worked in that company they used to be my customers when I was in Zenith. So I guess they were, again, diligence is another thing that I think God really helped me with, being diligent with other people's businesses. It didn't have to be mine. And I think that's part of why, you see, there are seeds that you sow. This thing has a way of coming back to you. So this customer saw me then and poached me. You know what it takes for a customer to poach you from a bank? Those days, I don't know about now, the banks were paying really well. And so they poached me. My salary was a lot better. So I moved from Zenith to Kuramo. I had a car and a driver. At that time in Zenith, I hadn't even risen to the level of having a car. But 7 months down the line, I realized that this was going to affect the future that I was trying to create for myself. Because I wanted to work I am so big on structure. And that's why you'll find this many logos here. Because by nature, I'm a very restless person. Now, you would think that restlessness is supposed to be a bad thing. Supposedly, yeah, maybe. But I found that I needed to convert this to something positive. So I set up a business because I'm so big on structure. When I set up the first business, the event center, there were just two of us, myself and my EA, who has jackpot now. But we set up the business in preparation for the years that we could see. Again, your mind. So even the workstation, everything that we needed for the people that would join us in future was already in place. And so when people started joining us, when issues started coming up, I'll get to the office, there are no issues for me to resolve, there's nothing for me to do. I just get there, I'm just asking them, okay, is there any problem? They'll say, no problem, nothing. So I got restless. I started getting tired. So there was nothing to do. Money was coming in, don't get me wrong. But there was no activity, which is who I am. I read accounting, by the way. My father is a chartered accountant, a fellow. My father begged me. I told him, never. I will just die. If you want to kill me, keep me in an office, sit in front of a computer and tell me to just sit down there and be carrying file. I'm dead. You don't need a gun. You see, so I told my father, I pray. Thank God you have many of them. One of your children will follow you. Me? No. I've honored you enough by even reading accounting in the first place. Because I knew I wasn't going to end up being an accountant. So I read accounting, but this is who I am today. And so once structure is in place, so for those of us that are asking, how do you do all these things? Once I set up the first one, put structure in place, I'm able to leave it. And please don't build businesses around you. CSC documentation won't change. Accounts signatory doesn't change. It's still your money. Whether your name is on the billboard or your picture, it doesn't make any difference. There's no point building businesses around you. Because what it means is that if you're not there, nothing will get done. I love traveling. I want to be able to travel. Let them be doing their thing. As I'm speaking to you now, I was telling Dr. on our way, they have 2 events going on at the event center. I don't need to be there. There are at least almost 4,000 people there now. I don't need to be there. They will sort themselves out. If anything goes wrong, they will fix it. There's structure in place. So put structures in place. Was that one business is able to run without you, then you can move to the other one. That's one question I get asked a lot. How are you able to open all this? Once that one is structured, I move on to the next one. Once that one is structured and everything is running, without me, I move on to the third. And that's how I found myself in this quagmire that I am today. Very interesting life. But I paid the price. I served people. I ran other businesses. I was diligent. I ran it as though it was mine. It didn't matter if it was my business or not my business. It didn't make any difference. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you need to delay. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to go. But I knew that I had to serve. I had to learn. Because serving was learning. And then I paid the price. The number of glitz logos you see on this screen today are fewer than the attempts that I made. In fact, about 1/3 of the attempts that I made. What does that tell you? That I chose not to give up. Money has gone down the drain on some. They never made it to this slide. But guess what? Life has to go on. If we try, it doesn't work, we really do try, and it still didn't work, well, we dump it and we move on to what works. I also heard that when Mr. Wisdom was speaking earlier. But giving up is what is not an option. A lot of us make an attempt, and because it just didn't work, we just give up just like that, so easily. And we say, oh, I've done everything. You are still alive. You haven't died yet. So if you haven't done anything, yeah, if you're still alive, so long as there's still breath, it means that. And then the last one is talking about collaboration. So these are things I do with other people. The last line on that slide. Those are companies I run with friends and all that. I believe that collaboration is a new competition. I'm very big on collaboration. I'm very big on doing things with people. Knowing that what I do not know, someone else does know. And two heads coming together, there's a limit to what we can achieve. Or there's no limit to what we can achieve, rather. It's interesting that we're all talking about mentorship. I'm mentee to a few people. And people refer to me as a very strong woman, very tough, see all the faces on this screen? There's not one of them that will call me and say, Adetola, drop, no matter what it is, I will drop it in a heartbeat. Let me also tell you a secret. I don't know why nobody has told you. I think every single speaker, at least the ones that are here now, we all have a common mentor, including Mr. Wisdom. So that's the relationship. You see what I mean? So we have one mentor, the first picture you see on the screen, Dr. Nia Adesoya. And that's the person that's the common factor, that's the common denominator that brought us all together. I refer to mentorship as a life hack. Someone once asked me, is it compulsory that you speak so passionately about mentorship? Is it compulsory to have a mentor? The answer is no. No, it's not compulsory. Me, I'm not even a huge fan of, it's not compulsory. The difference is that you move faster than your peers. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to move faster or you want to move at the same pace. It's not compulsory. There's nothing compulsory about it. Feel free not to have a mentor. But what it does mean is that as you're moving, the mistakes you will make them. But if I was moving with a mentor, the mistakes I would have made, I'll give you an example. So by our business plan, by now, the second event center should have been running. And so I spoke with one of my mentors. His picture is on the screen. There are some of them you may not know, so they don't have to be popular. It's just coincidental that Nia Adesoya mentors us. There are some pictures there. If I go around this room, at least one or two of them, nobody in this room knows them, except there's someone here that's ever worked in UB or Zenith. There's at least one person on that screen that nobody knows. So it's not by popularity or by its value that they have to deliver. It's where you're going, where they've been versus where they've been. These are the things you look at. And if you see me serving these people, Mr. Dotun talked about going to Belgium. Mr. Adenowa holds awesome treasures, all summits all over the world. You will find me there carrying her bag, taking care of her drink, carrying this, making announcements, doing, all of these things, serving. Someone saw me one day and said, this girl, she was a bit confused, wasn't sure it was me or it was in London. So I guess she was wondering, London, how? And then she came to the Adetola. I said, yes. And she hugged me and said, that when I saw you carrying cup, I was wondering, Kini. I said, yeah, it's my mentor's event. So there's not a whole anything here. Do you understand now? So, but some of us feel too big, some of us, what we really want is access, not mentorship. Some, what we're looking for are sponsors, not mentors. These things are different. So determine what, someone wrote me one day, she wanted me to mentor her, and then she wanted me to sponsor. I said, no, you can't have both. You cannot have both. Do you know what it cost me to sit down with my time to mentor you? Then I'll still give you money on top. No, decide which one you want. And I don't feel bad about it. Some of us say, I wrote her, she didn't even answer. She's very busy. That's okay. That thing that keeps her busy is what you saw that made you want her to mentor you. So if she stops being busy, she becomes very irrelevant and useless, and you won't want her to mentor you. Emma Koba, leave her, let her be busy. It's true. But you are the one looking for something. My very first mentor on this screen was Fela Drotoye. It took him 3 years for us to kickstart the relationship. He even at some point replied to me, and I wrote a proper email, explaining why he should mentor me, what area of life. Of course, there are certain things I won't be asking Fela about. Will Tara not throw me out? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I also don't believe that one person can mentor you in every area. You see those two women there, those days when they serve me breakfast, if I go to them and say, this guy, Mrs. A will say, that guy, when I saw him, I knew, say that guy, I use this boy. From day one, I just want to break your heart. I can't discuss that with Fela. Do you see what I'm saying? So I also don't believe that one person can cover all of those areas. But Fela took 3 years, and then he responded and referred me to Steve. He copied Steve in the mail. And then I nicely also, prior to then, every event he had, I was there, serving in front. He talked about you can't go all the way to Belgium and not be seen. Even when he was having events in Lagos, you will see me. What's it called? Registration desk. That's where I serve. Or ushering. Or selling his books. The things that are dear to his heart. But you must see me. How won't you see me? How will you know that I'm serving? So when I wrote the mail and he responded saying, he was going to refer me to Steve Harris, blah, blah, blah. He copied Steve. Me, Omogmo. And I replied, copying Steve as well. I first of all talked about how wonderful Steve, that the last event Steve had, these are the things I got from his fantastic speaker, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, however. You know what comes after however, comma? However. So I insisted. Then the next event Fela had, I was at the registration desk. I can't remember what we said. And Fela said, who is she? Steve now said, Shebi, this is the girl that said she doesn't want me to mentor. It was teasing. She doesn't want me to mentor her, that she doesn't want. Fela, so is that you? Good to meet you. And then he hugged me. Safe to say that night I received my yes email. That night. And that was where the relationship started. He met with me 6 hours every year. October of every year for 6 hours in his home. That's how busy he was. Then people would send me DM and say, I'm too busy, I did not answer. I'm busy, No apologies. Because this house said, she's proud. She's too proud. Look at her, the way she was carrying herself. That's why you want her to mentor you. Mentorship is such a big deal. It's so dear to my heart. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, it comes from a place of service. When you serve, you are seen. It will be difficult for anybody to say. Yesterday, interestingly, I called Dr. Nee. And he said it was in Abuja, blah, blah, blah. I said, Dr. Nee, come, let me sit in your class. I said, okay, I'll take you along. You speak for 30 minutes. I don't want to speak. I want to sit. Let me carry your bag, carry your laptop. Then somebody will see me and say, you how? Me compared to, that's why you cannot find me. Someone talked earlier about letting go of some friends. You can't find me in the midst of some people. They are my friends. Because I cannot mention some figures where they are. It's not pride. It's that when Abraham had to move to the next level, Lot couldn't go with him. Lot was not a wizard. The Bible didn't tell us that. It's that for that next level, Lot could not be a part of it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. When God is done with certain people in your life, God is done with them. Let them go. Stop holding on to people that will keep you where you are at. Some of us are praying prayers that have been answered. It is the things and the people around us that are keeping us where we are at. Then, I already talked about mentorship, self-awareness. The next slide, please. The eagle slide. The eagle slide. So there was another, a self-awareness exercise that I do from time to time. I can share a link with Mr. Wisdom to share with you. But I think it does help with knowing who you are. There are certain things I try to do, and I'm wondering, why am I? But after running through this exercise and understanding me, you can't lead others when you cannot even lead yourself. And it's impossible to lead yourself when you don't even understand, when there's no self-awareness or understanding. So it's also an exercise that I encourage people to do. But at the initial stage when I did this some years ago, I came up with the dog. But along the line, I found that the dog is certain things that I'm not. Do you see? But the eagle sort of encapsulates who I believe I truly am. Very bold, courageous, visionary. Everything you see on the... But I also found out that, because sometimes I find that I could come across as devoid of emotions, sometimes. But I find that it's because of my very straightforward nature, which is typical with the eagle as well. So I stopped, in quotes, beating myself, because sometimes I'll feel that, Adetola, leave it, let it go. But I find that, for example, we agreed you should be here at 2:00. It's like a flight or American visa appointment. Will you go there and tell them sorry? No. So let's respect ourselves, our time, and little things like that. And everyone, please now, Shebi, they've begged you. These are my problems. Beg me that what precisely? Because we agreed. Do you understand? There's traffic in Lagos. I left where I was coming from earlier. That's what you should do. So it's okay, we cancel. But now, Nigerians, she's very wicked. If it's time to say the news at 7, Timo, I've never seen them postpone it. They won't say because Moriah did not arrive on time, they will not. Do you see what I'm saying? Because some people are waiting somewhere to listen in. And so we get sentimental, we get unnecessarily, So anyways, I also said there will never be, towards the end of my slides, the slide after conclusion, after my picture, that there will never be perfect condition for anything. There would never be perfect condition. Just get started. When you put and when he was speaking, I said, oh, that's faith. But when you put the first foot forward, things will naturally begin to fall in place. If you make mistakes, learn from your mistakes. The issue is, where there will be an issue is if you don't learn from that mistake. Learn from your mistakes, learn how not to do it next time, and then how to do it better, and then keep moving. As you keep moving, it keeps getting better, it keeps getting bigger, it keeps getting better. You already have what it takes, it's inside of you. So long as your mind can see it, can envision it, then you can be it. I don't think there's anything I'm doing today that was not inside. If I sit with you for 1 hour and I share the kind of dreams I had, you will run away from me. Even me, sometimes I get worried for myself because I'm thinking, how now do you want to achieve this thing? But you know what? I've asked that how question years ago, and I've seen these things come to pass. So I know that it can happen. Therefore, it still scares me, but it no longer scares me. And by the way, if the dream doesn't scare you, then be sure it's God. It has to scare you. So we're talking about these really big things, and you're mentioning these figures, and you're beginning to, maybe that's part of why God passed me through the banking industry. So that these figures, I would have heard them. Other people's money, those days. But I will not be afraid to be talking about the figures now. Yeah? Then, success has no gender. Because that's one of the things I was asked to also talk on. Success has no gender. Success has no gender. One of the questions that I get asked the most is that, how do you have a mechanic workshop? Kilo wadebe. That was one of the things my mom asked me. Mechanic workshop. You, this girl. Is there any rule that says that only men can be mechanics? There's no rule. A lot of these things are stereotypes that we create. The culture, the environment. There's no rule. The roads are bad. They have refused to do drainage. Those ones are topic for another day. Therefore, your car will spoil. Who says it's only men that can fix it? Bring it now, let me fix it for you. The job is dirty, but the money in my account is not dirty. So there's no rule that says that I cannot get dirty. There's nothing wrong with it. When people come to the event center sometimes, go and call your madam. Nonsense. On top of price, it's too expensive. I can help you, my work here. They don't need to know the owner. It doesn't change anything. If they know the owner, what does it matter? Because some people find it, they expect to see one allergy with pot belly when they call the owner of the venue. Say, no, it can't be you. It can't be you. Oh, one kind of look. It can't be you. Go and call your guy, please. I don't want to talk to any staff. I don't want. Ma, I can help you. There's no other guy that is around. But if you tell me the problem, because I work here, I'll be able to help you. There's no need. Do you know who I am? Who are you? It doesn't make any difference. Today, I'm president of Association of Venue Owners in Lagos. We had a meeting in Alausa. And when we entered the commissioner's office, at some point, she had to admit that she was expecting to see one big man. I said, why big and why man? She doesn't even know. But you see, stereotypes that we created in our minds by ourselves. Because I asked her, and she said she doesn't even know how she got there. She just felt. Success has no gender. Failure also has no gender. It's all in your mind. If you think you can, you will be right. And if you think you cannot, you will be right. Thank you very much.